You can, buddy. I'm trying to make it.
We don't care. We just where you have the AirPods on.
Well, I'm trying to.
You're
make
listening
it
to
so
the
that
Jay
you guys...
Bird Watching Podcast, the official podcast of jaysjournal.com and Fansided.com, where we discuss all things Toronto Blue Jays baseball. We'll talk about news, rumors, and game recaps. So whether you're a diehard fan or just getting started with the team, this is the podcast for you. Here's your host, Craig Borden, with co-hosts Jason Lyons and me, Ken Alfred. You're listening to the Jay Bird Watching Podcast.
Good early evening, Toronto Blue Jays fans, and welcome to the Jay Bird Watching Podcast. I am Craig Borden with you here from my office, and I have my good friend Jason Lyons and literally the whole family on their way to baseball this evening. Jason, how we doing? How's the gang?
Really good, buddy. We got the whole car full here, and this is the sort of the life of what we have to do sometimes. We got a big tournament this weekend out in Abbotsford, which is about an hour drive away. And if anybody knows Vancouver traffic, an hour drive in a car is more like a 2-hour drive in a car because the traffic sucks. And but it's a beautiful afternoon, and I'm looking forward to a big weekend of baseball.
Yeah, and we have a long overdue conversation that we actually get to kick this evening off on. And the fact is that we get to style and profile again. There's finally no more death to fun in Toronto Blue Jays baseball. We have a home run jacket and literally a red carpet, my friend. Roll it out for me. What are you thinking?
It was so funny because I was watching the other night and I can't remember who hit the first home run. Was it Varsho that got the first red carpet treatment? And I was like, why are they making such a, oh, that's weird. Oh, what's that? Oh, it's a red carpet. And so I like the way that the guy who hasn't, if there's a guy on base, how he kind of hot steps it down the red carpet and then the other guy walks. I wouldn't mind a little more like waving or, fake paparazzi. I think that would be fun. Like if they were taking the pictures as the guys were going down the carpet. But and the jacket is styling. I really like it with the big flag on the arm. And I think that you and I have kicked this to the point where like the dead horse doesn't even come into play anymore. Like this is beyond dead horse. This is, they needed to do this 2 months ago, and I'm glad they've realized it and brought it all back together. And they look like they're having a lot of fun. Like even just a video of George Springer using the massage gun and Vladdy giving him the business and then Springer jabbing it into his neck. I mean, there's no way he got it through those dreads, but it's fun again. And you know what? If they lose and they have fun, at least they're fun to watch, right?
Oh, 100%. And I think that we were talking about what a catalyst could be for this team and all these wonderful things and what it takes to get this team going. They were missing something like this. There was that level of, camaraderie that just felt flat, and they needed that next piece to it. So I really, like I said, funny enough, when I was a guest on the Walk-Off podcast last week, was you needed something to go with. There needed to be that stupid, glorious gesture that they could all rally around, and they finally have that.
Yeah, it was nice to just see big smiles all over the place. Like we hadn't seen a lot of smiles so far in the this season, and there's lots of smiles in the preseason, which we thought were going to carry over. It looked like they were going to be sort of that fun bunch of goofballs that we like to cheer for. And then the doom and gloom of a regular season where nobody could hit and nobody could pitch relief, and that hit pretty hard. So I think just the levity of being able to toss the jacket back on and the fans are right back into it, and except for that girl that Bichette hit in the face. I mean, she's be the only disappointed fan that I can see out there. But,
I don't know. She got her own Topps baseball card out of it. I don't know how disappointed she could be.
Pretty awesome that. Not awesome that she took a 110 mile an hour foul ball to the face, but she's tough as a $2 steak. I'll give her that. She walked out of didn't get any help. She walked out of the stadium and, goose egg McGee.
Yeah, it didn't look like anything short of the unfortunate thing when I finally saw the pictures online. It reminded me of that moment in Meet the Parents where he spiked the ball into his sister's face, and it said Voight backwards in her face for wedding photos and stuff. But to that point, well played there on her part to first off get it and take it. I can't believe that. I don't know if I would have been able to stand after that. I really don't.
I got, or maybe even 7. I was at the Tacoma Dome watching the Mariners play, and I was up well behind third base, like way down the third base line, and I got hit with a liner off the knee. It hit the seat in front of me and hit my knee basically at the same time, and I literally thought I had died. I thought the lower extremities were gone. I was like Lieutenant Dan in Forrest Gump. Like, I was like, just go on without me. I have no legs now. And I just remember the amazing shades of purple and green and yellow that it went over the next multitude of days. And that was the day that I met Brett Boone and a few others.
You met the good Boone.
They used to have this awesome thing at Mariner Stadium where you could go and Bruce Bochy. That's who I got that's famously my picture is with Bruce Bochy. And I have a picture. I'll dig it up one time and send it to you of me like 2.5 feet away from Ken Griffey Jr. It's like a selfie, but I think someone took the picture just trying to get a picture of Ken Griffey. So the side of my face is in it, like, and then Ken Griffey's back there. That's Ken Griffey right now. But yeah, I mean, it left a lasting mark, no pun intended. Like, I never forgot about it.
Yeah, well, shout out to Liz McGuire for taking that shot and getting a baseball card and some extra Blue Jays merch out of it. I heard recently they did send some Bo Bichette autographed baseballs and stuff her way and gave her some extra tickets and whatnot. So that was a classy move for something that obviously, like I said, was a very hurtful part in lieu of what happened there.
We should effort to try and get her on the show when her face looks normal again.
So on the fun though, but back to the home run jacket here. Like I said, I just think it's something I went to that game, like I mentioned, that with they came back and won against the Minnesota Twins. They did play the Rays really rough over the week here and held them in check for the most part of it, other than some, I'll say, bullpen pieces that unfortunately still continued that story. The next piece to this, Jason, is maybe this is a page turner. You finally took the White Sox to this school over the last few days outside of the game where Garrett Crochet is looking like the next coming of Randy Johnson at the end of the day with his ridiculous fastball and slider. But there were some good things in Blue Jays baseball outside the home run jacket here. Do you think this is a week to build on, or do you think this is unfortunately the same gloom and doom we've been talking about over the last few weeks?
I'm going to make a bold statement here. I'm going to make a statement that this is going to be the weekend and week that turn the Jays season around. I think this is the crux point, bringing back the jacket, putting a little fun into the Dougie. I mean, you could see it on everybody. I mean, it looked like the weight of the world came off Schneider's shoulders. Like, I mean, no one looked more relieved than Schneider to see some levity and some guys having fun down there. I mean, I like John Schneider. I think John Schneider has done a good job with this team, aside from the one gaffe in the playoffs last year, which we're still not sure if was his gaffe, but he's got to wear it. So, I mean, I feel like he's earned the right to take this team through the end of this year, providing that it doesn't come completely unglued. I think that Pete Walker has righted the ship with in regards to the starters. I feel like Encarnacion has been a really good addition for the fielders and the batters. And now the last step is to get John Schneider focused in on those middle relievers and buckle them down into a position where we have confidence going to them. It's not a gulp. We gotta go to middle relief here.
Row.
Yeah, a rut row. Yeah, it is a bit of a rut row. Speaking of which, did you see that if you want to go see Deadpool versus Wolverine in July, apparently you have to buy your tickets like now? Crazy. Anyway,
yeah, I saw that. As I want to go see that movie bad. It's because it's going to be that good of a fun movie, I think. But you got to have some fun. Can't be all gloom and doom like we were talking about. And I agree with you. I think, like I said, it felt different that game I happened to be at where they were down 7-1 against the Twins and somehow managed to pull a rabbit out of their ass. And I'm going to use that word, not pulling it out of the hat. So they pull that game back and really do it. And then they played some really good baseball over the following week. And then you see what they finally were able to do and get that levity back to what you said, especially last night. And the one that actually looked like to me that he paid the most dividends from yesterday's blowout for the Chicago White Sox was that Bo Bichette got a little of his swagger back last night. It's the first one to wear the home run jacket. He actually broke what was a horrible record for the Blue Jays to be staring down on, was the fact that there has not been any other team. Well, there's only been like 2 other teams in Major League history that had a bigger home run drought out of their cleanup spot this far into the season. I want to say it was 2 teams that from some years that were like their worst years in franchise history. So I was glad to see him break that, but there were some other reasons that the Blue Jays obviously weren't hitting out of the cleanup spot. They've been using that as a revolving door for this season, I think, Jason. But maybe some of these right pieces are finally falling into place hitting wise, and we can build off of it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, again, speaking of the weight of the world, Bo Bichette's been wearing it for the last couple of weeks, and not even just that home run, the one that got him the jacket. I feel like about 7 days ago, Bo, I don't know what he figured out. But he looked way more relaxed in the box. He was starting to hit the ball sort of all over the place, just like Bo does so well. And yeah, I mean, he's certainly not known for being the loudest, voice in the Dougie as far as I can see. But I think that what he needs to do is exactly what he did. Is he needs to speak with his bat, he needs to speak with his glove, and he needs to speak with his speed. And talking about speed, how about almost 40-year-old Kevin Kiermaier hitting a blooper? Not even, it was a rip shot to the center fielder and getting a double out of it. And then someone else the same night, was it Dela Cruz or somebody else, did the same thing. They hit one through 2. And so if comparatively, if we're comparing him to one of the fastest guys in the league, then big props for old man Kiermaier for dusting the cleats off and letting one rip.
I thought that was actually really intriguing yesterday. That ball Varsho laced down the right field line and turned into a triple. Same kind of thing.
Well, does anybody run harder than him?
Shocked where that went. That became anything more than a double.
Yeah, I mean, Varsho runs so hard, it's unbelievable. You think he's going to come right out of his shoes every single time he takes off to do anything. But I mean, I feel like it's a lot of good things that are sort of coming to roost. A lot of the stuff that and this is baseball. This is what happens. You just have to make sure that when you do have a down part of the season, or when you do get on some sort of a rough streak, you can get yourself out of it. And it appears to me that the Jays are coming out of the mire here, and they've got a couple of weeks to really prove themselves and see where they can get. And I think it's going to be quite interesting to see how things come out on the other side.
Because we already knew this team could pitch, but maybe they finally found that little extra rum for Joe Boo or whatever to put your major league spins back on this, that they finally have something else going in the right direction here that they can build off of, because we have a hell of a rotation we get to take into Detroit this evening, and we miss their best pitcher, who got beat up, actually, ironically, by the Kansas City Royals yesterday after having Tarek Skubal hasn't been one of the best pitchers for the pitchers for the Tigers. He's been one of the best pitchers in baseball so far this season. So we know what to do.
Outstanding. Yeah, he's been outrageously good. And I may lose you here as I am driving through the tunnel, so you may have to do a little tap dancing. But yeah, I mean, I know that when the Jays were coming into this series, one of the main things that Buck and all the guys on the broadcast were talking about was this stud from Detroit that's not dissimilar to the stud that's in Oakland right now. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I mean, these kids, hopefully they can sort of write their ticket and make sure that they get onto a competing team based on, like, I don't know if you've seen the kid in Oakland. I don't even know his name, but I don't know if you've seen his stats, but they are, I mean, compare him to Randy Johnson isn't even a comparison. He's only comparable, I would say, to a young Nolan.
Yeah, and this is a kid that throws 100 miles an hour without even scoffing at it, right? He's like what we've been seeing from Paul Skeens in his first couple outings. So,
did you see Paul Skeens do the Kenny Powers?
That was great. You sent that to me. That was a perfect one.
Oh, the best. And you gotta love a kid who understands, that baseball is supposed to be fun. And I love that he came out with his dress shirt and tie over his uniform after a game. Like what you would assume, if a 14-year-old made the team, that's what he would wear out to the podium. But it's it's fun to see baseball as fun as it is right now. And we've got guys like Ellie and Skeens and Josh Hader and guys around the league that we J-Rod that we have to count on for this levity. And even Vladdy's responsible for a lot of that levity. Like, I mean, he scored from first the other day, and he looks like the guy putting the plane down in the river in New York. Like he just sails through the air and slides over home. And I mean, it's just, it's the best.
The way
and then
he
he
slid
flew
in the home plate, it was like I made it. It was like a saving grace.
Yeah, but he didn't get his sliding mitt on. Don't ever get me started on sliding mitts and kids and the fact that I'd like to burn them all in a pile. But Vladdy was putting his on when Bo hit that ball into the gap, and so as he was running, the thing was coming off, and it ripped and just left the strap on his wrist.
Yeah.
And the sliding mitt was way out in left field or something. It blew off his arm, but it's funny because I was watching and we were blown away, like legitimately blown away at the speed of a guy that big. Like Vladdy is a big dude, and when you get that truck rolling, like it's incredible when he to see. And then he did it again the next game. He scored from first, very similarly, not quite as dramatic of a slide because he knew he was safe by a bunch. But I mean, that's the kind of stuff you need to, Springer catching balls in the outfield. Springer's been unbelievable on defense, by the way, for the last, 10 days even. I don't know what was wrong with him.
Start hitting his weight.
Yeah. I mean, but if you're going to hit your weight, you got to be pretty darn good in the outfield, which he has been.
Yep. And to that point, everybody might notice that I advertised a certain gentleman being on this show with us this evening. He had a emergency to attend to, but Scott Belford of the Walk-Off Podcast will be joining us on a future episode. But to that point, he's also been reporting from Buffalo the last few nights. And in the midst of that, you bring up some of these kids and what's going on and who could force a job. The Orelvis Martinez conversation is not going anywhere, and this kid is doing everything he can to force the Blue Jays' hands, and I think they're going to have to make a decision sooner rather than later, Jason.
Well, and the scuttle that I've been hearing out there is that he is one of the prized possessions in the MLB right now. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if some of the offers that are coming the Jays' ways for this kid right now are probably more than they had ever anticipated. I mean, they know this kid was going to be good, and he's been a top prospect for a while, but I don't know if we ever thought it was going to be at this level. And I mean, it presents that very interesting scenario of you don't want to trade the farm, especially when it's a little tiny seedling. But if that seedling's willing to, get you a couple of $1 million at market, then maybe you consider it. I'd like to see him come up. Obviously, no team is going to make any kind of significant offer without some sort of showcase. So, I mean, I think this is the time to do it. I think they need to bring him up and just let the horse out of the barn and just let this kid just green light everywhere. Like, just
well, and this team might be better with IKF playing third base and keeping his bat in the lineup right now, and bringing Orelvis Martinez into play too. The main reason I hear that he is not basically in the major leagues is his defense. He has had issues, would be the nice way of saying it, but it's a lot easier to hide that at second base than third.
We've had a conversation about that. And I mean, if you look around the league right now, like the Orioles are a team that's prone to errors. The Royals are a team that's prone to errors. And the reason that they're prone to errors is because they're willing to take chances on kids who may not be major league ready in the field, to take their bats and take their feet. And I mean, it's you can't be perfect at everything. You have to, and at fielding is one of those things. I mean, remember Bo struggled mightily at shortstop, and the Jays kept him there, and they fought, and now he's considered to be one of the better shortstops in the majors. And he took his time, and and he made sure he was getting his reps, and they made sure he was in the games that he needed to be in with his defense on display. And now he's a very trusted part of that. So for me, I would always prefer to have the player play it out. I'll take mistakes. I'll take try hard and mistakes over no try at all. So, I mean, if that's his default, if he's having trouble in the field, like you said, bring him up, let him play a little bit of two, and get that bat into the lineup. Even have him DH a couple of times. Nothing's hurting him when you do that.
And the reason I think you have to be equationing this into the puzzle a little bit is the fact that we have seen Ernie Clement come back to real world. As much as I love Ernie Clement, even his defense over the last week has been a little bit of a miss, but I do think that he's obviously been way more on the right side of that equation, and I'm not worried about Ernie Clement one way or the other. But at the end of the day, he's probably somebody that is destined for that role of being the utility guy, the next guy off the bench. Play third base, play shortstop, play whoever, like he did yesterday when Bo Bichette was clearly mashing. And it's like, okay, great, we're up where we're up. Bring in Ernie to play shortstop. Great. That's not a problem. But this offense can gain a lot by getting somebody like Martinez's possible thump into this lineup. You imagine him batting in the 7th, 8th hole and just having nobody pay attention and just destroys and drives in some Janos and stuff like that.
Well, I'm speaking from experience, especially with the team that I'm coaching this year. We've got a lot of gorillas in the mist. Like, we got a lot of kids that'll pitch around some of the bigger kids and some of our home run hitters to get to some of these other guys, and they learn the hard way that you don't do that. We've got a kid on our team that he's leading in RBIs. He's probably the most unassuming kid you'd ever want to meet in your life, and he just keeps hitting home runs and getting RBIs, and we dot him around our really big guys, so they pitch around them, and then they want to come to this guy. And I mean, he's so reliable. His nickname's RBI. He's so reliable.
There you go.
So, it's that
machine.
I think with a guy like Ernie Clement, what you have to watch, though, because the Jays have so many of those utility guys, is he has to watch. I mean, he made a boatload of errors a week ago, and then he did it again. And so it was good to see him right his ship defensively and have a couple of good starts. But, I mean, overall, the last 3 weeks for Ernie Clement have been 3 weeks to forget. Hopefully he can get it right, because at this point right now, if the Jays do turn it around here and the ship starts going north and they start ripping through series, then Ernie might be one of the guys that gets sent back to Buffalo and forgotten about. And, I was concerned about that for Davis Schneider last year, and Davis made his own path, and Davis has proved that he's not only
he's an everyday player.
He's not only an everyday, but he's an outstanding everyday. And congratulations to his sister for all the popularity she's gained by her brother being in the MLB. I think that's a pretty fun little side story. Yeah. If you guys don't know about
all the shirts,
go on Twitter, all of that stuff. Just look her up. She's quite hilarious, and she's really, really embracing the fact that her brother, they probably didn't think he was ever going to make it, and now that he's made it, they're soaking it in and having a good time with it, which I 100% appreciate. I think it's awesome.
Yeah. So one of our frequent flyers on this show before he got traded out of the organization was Anthony Kay's brother. So remember that pitcher? So maybe we'll have to get her on the show too. So I got to mention it too. There's some credit where credit is due over the last few days here. And that is, we've been really harping on Danny Burgers a lot. And he was basically the reason we won a ball game over the last week. So
I
good stuff. But, but to that point, a team is sorely lacking offense. Go ahead.
I would say I kind of felt bad for him. I was ripping on him, and he's such a beauty, that guy. And it was nice to see him have a day, or a couple days actually. I don't know if there's anyone I enjoy more running the bases than him. It makes me laugh at a level I shouldn't laugh at, but it's so good. And every time I see it, I think to myself, I harken back to that commercial where he's leading off, and the manager in Milwaukee's like, is he thinking about stealing? He's like, bigger bases. It's so
those
good.
commercials you saw with with was it Buck Showalter, right? That when he was with the Mets, with the new bases and all that stuff. They were doing that on the MLB Network, and Vogel's sitting there going, looking at second base. Should I do it? Should I not? And Showalter's like, don't do it. Don't do it.
It's good when a guy gets off the schneid a little bit. It's a necessary bump that you need. You've got to have, your role players have got to be your role players. And for Vogelbach, I mean, his job is to hit. He's not there to do anything else but, help school the young guys and hit. And when not hitting, that really, illuminates Danny on the bench. But I will say that, even the other night when the Jays were down a little bit, he was messing with guys' hats and roughing guys up in the die. Kind of reminds me of Chris Farley a little bit in that way. And, it's good to see.
Lottie freaking da, man.
Yeah.
So I heard there was an interesting story about Kikuchi and Danny Burgers on yesterday's broadcast. I don't know if you caught this one or not, but Kikuchi's son threw out the first pitch yesterday for Yusei Kikuchi bobblehead night, right? So apparently, because they were teammates in Seattle when he had a couple of good years there, that Danny Vogelbach is the reason that Yusei Kikuchi's middle name for his son is Daniel.
That's awesome.
They are that good of friends. That's what the story was. And he was asked if it was true or not, and he said it was.
that could be a sitcom.
Good stuff. So, Jason, I don't want to keep you a million years. We can keep talking, but is there anything you would like to bring up as a topic this evening to chat with while you're clearly on the bus?
Well, I think, for this might just be a quick hitter for everybody. We definitely wanted to talk about the levity of the jacket and get Jays fans, sort of excited about what's coming. As I'm mobile, I can't even see what the what's coming up. I don't even know the schedule. I don't know anything. That's regular life smacking in the face. But
got the Tigers in Detroit.
Oh, there. I mean, that's another get well card.
Yeah.
Or let's hope it is. And then hopefully they can put a couple of series together and really start to make some legs. What are they, 7 games out right now?
Yes, sir. So
that's
in the midst of that,
that's easy ground to make up right now. We're not into the dog days yet. A month from now, if you and I are talking about the same thing, I think we might be up S Creek without a paddle. But
yeah. And actually, really, at the end of the day, in the wild card, they are only 3.5 games out of a wild card, even with a 22-26 record. They are 11 games out of the division because I forgot that the Yankees have been on a tear. So that would be the catch. The Yankees are now the first place team in the American League East with a 35-17 record. Only the Philadelphia Phillies have a better record in baseball right now.
2 good teams you're talking about there too, and then you tack the Dodgers and the Braves onto the end of that conversation. You've got 4 just juggernauts, that I feel like, a month going to be talking about how far some of those teams might be untouchable, especially the Phillies. Holy cripe, they look like they can't be beat, and when they do lose, it looks like they almost did it on purpose, just so people don't think they're completely robots. It's amazing to watch right now. They're phenomenal, top to bottom, pitching, relief, infielding, outfielding, hitting, everything. They've got every single part dialed right now.
And the funny thing is, I don't think they're having the best out of Bryce Harper yet this season, who's their obvious stud. He's doing well, but it's very similar to the ballpark of what we've been seeing from Vladdy, right? There's maybe some more in there. He's one of the best guys in baseball for a reason. And the guy's only playing first base this year. He should be mashing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's sort of Bryce's swan song moving forwards is they don't want him playing in the field. He's not fast enough there anymore, I don't think. And so, you can take it easy and play one, and easy's not our first base is not an easy position, especially in the majors, but I mean, it's one of those positions.
Around Washington.
he can save his back. He can save his knees. He can save his back, and any of the other things that have been ailing him. Not having to throw the ball makes a big difference. If you just have to catch it. Although Vladdy does throw the ball pretty hard to second when they do get an out. I feel like he does that just
he was
because
a
he
third
doesn't need to
baseman
throw
for
the
so
ball
long.
anymore.
So,
yeah,
so the Blue Jays have the.
It was interesting. I was listening to the broadcast, and they were talking about Vladdy taking a lot of reps.
We might have lost you for a second there, buddy. You want to repeat that? Yes, no, maybe. Well, while we wait Jason's cell phone to come back to the world, because he's on the road with the Little Leaguers this evening. All of you that are out there in the Twitterverse and whatnot listening to us, make sure you get those comments. And looks like we got Jason back. You might have to repeat that, my friend. It's gonna be like that this evening. We were doing so well for a half hour. The Blue Jays fans tonight, the Blue Jays take on the Detroit Tigers. Oh, now I have you back finally. Lost you for a sec.
This is as bad as the card guy. I think I got a little bit of clarity here, and then maybe we should gas this thing so we don't have to make the people watch my frozen Max Headroom face and listen to me go pew. Yeah, that one. So I mean, what I was going to say is that Vladdy's been taking a fair amount of reps at third base apparently. In warm-ups and when they're shagging balls and stuff. Buck Martinez actually made a point of saying how often he's been playing third lately, and so. Maybe the question is, do they want Barger did play a lot of first base when he was with the Canadians, and he is a good first baseman. He's ultra athletic, and I mean, if they are looking to make some moves and bring some guys up, I feel like Vladdy off one might be one of those options. He's still fast enough, and his arm's still strong enough for him to play third base for the Jays. So
yeah,
but I don't like IKF not playing there. I think IKF has earned that spot, and he should be there.
The only reason that helps, Jason, is if you're going to bring up Spencer Horwitz, so you can still have JT, Horwitz, and Vladdy in the lineup.
Yeah, 100%.
Because outside of that, if you're going to bring up Aurelvis Martinez, he's a better third baseman, I think, than Vlad at this point. Because he's been playing there, too.
I agree with you.
So, as far as tonight goes, the Blue Jays are going to possibly run into a wall. A gentleman that has been on fire. Jack Flaherty has found out how to be Jack Flaherty from his St. Louis Cardinal days. That's who we get to face tonight against Kevin Gausman. That might be a very interesting matchup for this evening. I know we're all excited to see Goss get back to being Goss, but what do you think happens this evening as the Blue Jays kick off this series against the Tigers?
I think the Jays are going to go win 2, lose 1. I think Gausman is going to have a good outing tonight. I like the fact that the Tigers, although they're not a great team, they do swing their bats a lot. So it does give Gausman the opportunity to start working on locating his pitches. I think it's going to be a good outing for him, and I think it's going to be a good weekend for the Jays.
The beautiful of, because I have a couple friends here that in Rochester that are actually Detroit Tigers fans, is their bullpen got very vastly beat up over the last few days. So the Blue Jays have a thin bullpen to beat up on possibly this week. As we, like I said, at least we kick off the series with Gausman versus Flaherty, and then Matt Manning versus Alek Manoah tomorrow. And I'll give you a 50-50 on who shows up for the Blue Jays tomorrow in that equation. But Matt Manning's honestly not a very different story for what the Tigers are going. So that's going to be an interesting matchup for the Friday evening game. But to that point, we might be getting some reinforcements in the very near future, Jason. Bowden Francis is feeling better. He's on a rehab start. Chad Green is coming back possibly in the very near future. Might even be activated for a game over the weekend here. it's nice to see some of these guys that will actually build out the depth in our bullpen, which is only going to help the equation of what we were talking at the top of the show.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's crucial for the next month. Is that bullpen has to remain healthy, and it has to come in, and it has to be able to do a job. Our starters have been getting deep enough into the game that we should be able to win some of these games, and we have these guys come in and they're giving up back-breaking home runs. I mean, even if it's not a home run, but that's what it seems to be. Is it always seems to be a couple of guys on base and someone crushes one, and you're like, you couldn't have just fed that right down the middle. You could have picked a little bit, even walk them. I don't care. Just don't make your mistakes dead red. I mean, they'll be caught by a fan in deep center.
So, but hopefully, like I said, that's going to spell some good things. The one thing that did kind of suck, and our friend Scott Belford actually, unfortunately, got to witness this firsthand the other night for the Buffalo Bisons, was Rod. Not so good the other night in his first rehab start. Only threw 16 pitches and left his appearance. And not so much fun, I guess, for Rod. But maybe that was the goal, was just to get him out there and throw some live pitching and get there. But only throwing 16 pitches, that's what scares me.
What that shows me, though, is maybe they're bringing him back just a little bit too early. But you do want him throwing, right? You do want him throwing against live batters, and you do want him throwing in actual games that start to mean something rather than just doing, work with the team or doing, phantom innings or whatever he's doing. So, I mean, I don't take a lot from that. I think his next two starts will be telltale as to where he's at and where he's going, pushing forwards. Let's not gloss over the fact that it took Manoah a few here to sort of get right the ship. And I think this is sort of Manoah's start on Friday night. This is it. This is the make it or break it. We've seen the very good and we've seen the very bad. And if the very good can stick around, it changes completely the way that Jays starting lineup looks like. And it also gives them some freedom to start working on some different things.
Yeah. The biggest catch is, we talked about this on the walk-off podcast when I was a guest over the weekend, was the Blue Jays had to have basically a 700% winning percentage to be moderately relevant for the rest of the season.
They could do that.
So it's not unsurmountable, but it's not very fun to be able to be staring that barrel of that gun down at this point in the season because they dug such a hole. So
yeah, I mean,
be interesting to see.
With the season as long as baseball is, you don't want to get yourself into a situation where you have to be crazy good. But you know what? There's something to be said for winning, for creating a winning, culture, and taking a good solid 2 months and just bashing up the major leagues. And then, when it comes to August, you're a big threat and people are scared to play you. That's kind of your goal. I mean, the Yankees have proven multiple times that you can fizzle out pretty early in the season. And, even if you look great at the start, didn't they start 11-1 or something last year? And then, just same thing, wheels come off. They could never get it back together. So, I mean, it's not insurmountable, and it's not too much to ask for them to start, winning the majority of their games and series the rest of the way out.
Yep. Good deal. So I think it's that time because I don't want to keep you any longer. Let's do the picks to click. And I have a fun game I think we're going to do this evening, seeing you got the whole fam there in the ride.
Yes.
We're going to let them pick the picks to click, but we got to figure out who won last week first.
Okay.
I had Vladdy. You had Danny Jansen. And our guest spot, we threw in JT, Justin Turner, who barely played a game over the last week. It's because he was sick.
Yes.
According Yes, Vlad Jr. had the most hits, but Danny Jansen had 5 RBIs and only 1 less hit. I think you might have edged me out in that situation. I think Danny Jansen's going to be the victor, my friend.
Love a good edge out. Love Danny.
That was a good pick. So, like I said, I'm absolving my... Right now. Yeah. I'm absolving my pick. I'm going to let one of your children there pick my pick after they pick yours. So pick one to be one or the other, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
JT is the worst performer for last week, so he's still the off the board one.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to default my pick to my son Carter, who's in the front seat here. So Carter's going to make my pick to click this week. Carter, who's your pick to click?
George Springer.
George Springer. George Springer.
Springer
Carter
Winger.
picks George Springer. Spring a ding dong.
So on that note, if you want one of them to pick the guest spot too, they can do that. So we got 3 picks.
We'll get Finn. Finn will pick the guest spot. I got my son Jets
Perfect.
in the back, and then Finn will pick the guest spot.
There you go.
Okay,
so I guess I'm up.
Here's the next pick. Jet will be doing the next pick.
Alejandro Kerr.
Oh, he's taking Kirky, the maple beef.
I love Kirky.
Homage
All
to
right.
the maple beef.
The maple beef.
And then what do we got left?
So we got to get the guest spot.
So
Yep.
that's Finn. Finn, say hi to the people.
Hey.
Who's your pick for the guest spot, Finn?
Kiermaier.
Whoa! Your
Okay.
favorite.
Locking it in. So we got that going. So right now, the guest spot is still actually edging us out, Jason. 3 wins for the guest spot. You got 2, and I'm still got the only lonely 1 win of the season. Ken still got 1 too, but Ken is basically relegated to the guest spot until he wants to join us back full time again.
Yeah.
So, on that note, is there anything yourself, the wifey, or the children would like to chat on to end the show?
Nothing. I think that we got a big positive weekend of baseball coming up. We're super excited about it. Got lots of ball over the next 4 days, and this is a real telltale tournament for the BC baseball group we're in. Hopefully we can put a couple of big numbers up and play 2 games on Sunday and take this thing home.
Good deal. How about what's the North Shore report? Come on, you got the whole gang here. We got to see what's going on.
What do you want, like the game tonight?
Yeah.
Unfortunately
I got to get the inside scoop.
Unfortunately for Abbotsford AA, they're going to see some of Big Nasty over here today. He's going to be bringing the noise for a couple of maybe do some damage really well lately. So we've got the number 1 hitter, the number 4 hitter, and the number 5 hitter on the team in the car right now. So it's all been gravy lately. And of course, Team Mom on the wheels. Oh, did I lose Craig? Am I all by myself here?
No, couldn't have.
I think I did. I think I may have. I can't tell if the feed is still going. Oh, it is. Yeah. And maybe I am. Maybe I did. Maybe I did do. Maybe I didn't do. Maybe I did do. Craig,
One sec.
Are you there, buddy?
1 sec.
Now, isn't that funny that now mine's working fine? Yours drops out. Yeah, I'm full bars, baby.
Can you hear me?
I can. You're a black screen.
My power just went out for the most part.
There you go. Yeah, so that's all I got.
My laptop power.
Oh, there you go. That's happened to me before. It's never fun. This will be a great show. This will make the blooper reels for
Yeah, this is 100% nothing but the blooper reel.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I didn't lose connection with my headphones. That worked out. I heard you the whole time.
I hope the people in Twitterville and TikTok land think this is funny and they can chop it up and throw some clips up there.
Yeah. And thank you, Blue Jays fans, for participating in everything this night. We've seen plenty of you on the feed and a whole 30 of you live at the moment right now. Make sure you hit up those chats. Tell us what's going on. I'm surprised the amount of fandom we have going on here with not enough chat, especially when we got Jason literally on the road. Maybe he's going to knock on your door. I have no idea.
We're bringing the prizes to you.
Yeah, there it is.
Except
Except that you get it's the opposite of Oprah giving out stuff. That's like, you get nothing. We don't have anything to give unless I have, your coaster pile I sent you.
All right,
so,
buddy.
anyways, Blue Jays fans, thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure you do listen in live every Thursday evening. To rep the people that were supposed to be on this show this evening, Scott Belford and the friends at the Walk-Off Podcast have a live event at the Danforth Comedy Club in Toronto this coming Thursday. Make sure you get your tickets and hang out for Baseball Town. It was a good time. I was part of that event last year. It was really, really fun, and I look forward to doing that more often now that he's going to be in Toronto full time. And obviously now we got to hear the whole North Shore crew here in your van. Get going for the 2 claps and a Ric Flair. So 1, 2, 3.
Woo!
Woo! Let's go, Blue Jays.
And Lions.
Thank you for listening to the Jay Bird Watching Podcast. Please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch at BirdwatchingGC, and our YouTube channel. If you want to support the show and get extra content, please consider donating to our Patreon at patreon.com/birdwatchinggc. Go Jays, go.